Okay, let's start our O-level computer science class, and we start with the resources. So you can go to this website and you go to O-level course. Most of you would have already the booklets, paper one and paper two with you. But this paper two notes, you can download it from here. Uh, this yearly booklets O-level section and this paper to notes. So just click on download and you will get this document. Now this whole document is all about the theory that is revolving around paper 2. Paper 2 is about programming, how to write down the programs. When we talk about programs, we are asked to write down the algorithms, the step-by-step approach, and there are two types of algorithms that we need to do in our paper 2. One is pseudocode, which are known as the fake codes, and the flowcharts, which are known as the pictorial representation of the problem. Okay, so the theory that revolves around paper two, like all the basics are being mentioned here, designing an algorithm, and there are some topics which are really important. For example, you should know about that the variables, constant, and arrays. What are these? The input and output, which you can also call as print, and the selection statements. Often there are questions in paper two. Mention the selection statements. You should know about if, then, else, and case of, otherwise, and case are the selection statements. When we talk about repetition or loops or iterations, they name it with the three things. There are two types of repetitions. One is conditional, the other one is fixed, which is mentioned here as counter. So for next is a fixed iteration loop. Conditional loops are of two type. One is while and while, which is also known as precondition, and repeat until, which is also known as post condition loop. All right, so we have discussed these things already in class pretty efficiently. So we will not going to waste our time here on data types. You can also go through this once, and I'm gonna just help you out with the past papers how to solve them. If still there is any difficulty, just do let me know. Unfortunately, the Hangouts is not working fine for me, even though it used to work pretty awesomely. So I might come up with some other platform. Till then, we're just recording the lectures and sharing it with you. All right. So if we go to the page number 12, no, it's page number 8. Yeah, pseudocodes. Cases, how to do the case thing, the loops and iterations, the while loop, the operators. So these notes are very carefully made just to help you guys for the paper two. Okay, now the main concept, the difficult part, the topic that is most the most feared topic is pseudocodes, and we have already discussed this thing. Let's have one another look on this format one. All right, so this format approach is to help you people that even if you guys are not able to solve the whole question, correlate, you should be able to solve parts of it. Or you people can have that one picture, that one pattern in your mind, that declaration goes on the top, right? The initialization is after that, the for loop is after that, okay? So and so. Okay, number one thing, whenever you're going to look into some question, the pseudocode, the problem that will be given to you, like we have seen, I'm already assuming that most of the students have gone through this, and they know the basics, what algorithms looks like. For example, the algorithm that is given below. Question number one. An algorithm using pseudocode which inputs the speed of 500 cars. So input 500. So if you have to input some fixed value, when you know that how many times that you need to input, it's mean then that you are most probably going to use the for next loop, because for next loop is made for the iterations loops when you know the number, how many times you need to input something, how many times that you will going to iterate some certain number of instructions. So all the instructions which are in between for and next, they will be iterated, looped, run again and again 500 times for this question. That's it. So this is a generalized format which will be applied to all the questions which questions have a fixed number of input, जहां हमें पता है कि इनपुट कितनी दफा करना है, ठीक है, 365 डेज के लिए टेम्परेचर इनपुट करना है, 200 स्टूडेंट्स के मार्क्स इनपुट करना है, वगैरह वगैरह. Alright, so the next page, if you're going to look into, there are some more questions, and then there's format 2. Okay, we haven't done that. All right, so we have to do this. We have to solve one question by relating it to the format. Let's do this here. फॉर्मेट आपको याद हो गया, ये सारे स्टेप्स आपने याद कर लिए कि डिक्लेरेशन होती है, इनिशियलाइजेशन, फॉर का लूप, काउंट इज इक्वल टू 1 to n, ये पूरा सिंटैक्स आपने याद कर लिया. Then you come across with any question which looks like जो हमें क्वेश्चन सब यहाँ पे नीचे नजर आ रहा है. Let me open this PDF somewhere else, so where I can have a better. All right, there we go. Okay, this is the question. Well, it's the same PDF which you are going to download it from there. ठीक है, तो भाई इस तरह का क्वेश्चन किसी भी तरह का हो सकता है, लेकिन आपको ये वाला फॉर्मेट याद है. इस फॉर्मेट के साथ आप रिलेट करके इसको सॉल्व कैसे करोगे. Declaration will only be used when in pseudocodes they will going to ask us about the arrays. So far in this question there is no reference of an array, so we do not need to declare the variables, even though declaration can be done. This rest of the thing is super important. Okay, so we don't need to do the declaration part. We are going to solve this question according to the format हमने याद किया हुआ है, और ये फॉर्मेट हमने हर क्वेश्चन के ऊपर अप्लाई करना है. फॉर्मेट 1 हम इसलिए यूज करने के लिए जा रहे हैं, फॉर नेक्स्ट लूप हम इसलिए यूज करने के लिए जा रहे हैं बिकॉज हमें पता है कि इनपुट कितनी दफा करना. Got my point? So you just need to convert this format. For example, this is the for loop. You already have remembered it. Initialization के लिए कुछ जगह आप छोड़ दोगे क्योंकि आप हमेशा जो प्रोग्राम बना लेते हो, फिर उसके बाद then you just write down the initialization, because हम जब प्रोग्राम लिखते चले जाएंगे, हम वेरिएबल्स को नेम करते चले जाएंगे, तो बाद में उसको टॉप इनिशियलाइज कर लेंगे. For, count or counter or C, name of the variable, can be chosen by you. Is equal to can be used, assignment operator can be used, 1 to 500. Then input, what to input. The reason of the format is हमें पता है कि input for के loop के बाद करना. That's the benefit. Input speed of 500 car. So input speed. Counting with condition. Is there any counting with condition? Whenever they will going to ask us how many cars have speed greater than this or less than that, or tell us the number of cars or number of students or number of days, the temperature. Whenever in any question they will going to ask us two things: number of or how many. So if they will going to use these terms, it's mean there is something like that is known as counting with condition is about to be done. अब जब काउंटिंग विद कंडीशन होगी तो हम इसको डिस्कस कर लेंगे. अभी यहाँ पे इस क्वेश्चन के अंदर कहीं पर भी उसने ऐसी चीज नहीं पूछी. Alright, so the final speed for all 500 cars that is required to be output. Okay, the slowest speed. Okay, right now in this question we are not going to do this because we don't need to calculate something. We just want to focus on this part, this one, this one, and this one. Because अब इस तरह के जो क्वेश्चंस है ना जिसके अंदर फॉर्मूला कैलकुलेशन वी यूज टू कॉल इट, अब ये चीज नहीं आती. It's used to be like in old syllabus. It's not this much important. If there will be, I'll gonna just share it with you. Right now, just focus on the important parts. So we are just going to output the this and this part. The slowest final speed. They're asking us कि आपका जो ये क्वेश्चन है, ये जो 500 कार्स की स्पीड इनपुट लेगा एल्गोरिथम, ये हमें 500 कार्स की स्पीड इनपुट लेने के बाद सबसे जो स्लो स्पीड है वो आउटपुट करे. इसको बेटा कहते हैं एक्सट्रीम वैल्यू सिनेरियो. जब हमसे फास्टेस्ट, स्लोएस्ट, हाईएस्ट, टॉलेस्ट, शॉर्टेस्ट, वर्स्ट पूछा जाता है तो इट्स मीन कि दिस इज एक्सट्रीम वैल्यूज, ये वाला पार्ट. ठीक है, तो काउंटिंग विद कंडीशन इसके अंदर है नहीं, आउटपुट विद द सीन्स इसके अंदर है नहीं. तो राइट नाउ इसके अंदर हमने जो चीज़ अभी आइसोलेट की ढूंढी वो स्लोएस्ट और फास्टेस्ट. हमें पता चल गया कि यार एक्सट्रीम वैल्यूज हमें फाइंड आउट करनी है. एक्सट्रीम वैल्यूज का इट्स लाइक it's a designed pattern for the extreme values. हमेशा वही apply होता है. If you're going to remember it, it will be applied everywhere. So slowest speed, if we have inputted the speed, if speed is less than slowest or lowest, then lowest assigned to speed and if. So this is the pattern that we need to remember for the extreme value scenario. For example, in some other question they will going to ask us that input the marks for 500 students and output the worst marks. So if marks less than worst, then worst assigned to marks. So just need to remember this pattern which will be applied and changed according to the situation. Okay, there's one another thing, the fastest highest final speed. So it goes the same way. If speed greater than fast or fastest, then fast assigned to speed. Okay, did this intentionally. I did this one if and if like this and another if like this. It's just because you should know that this if statement, this selection statement can be written in two different ways. So if I will going to write down this instruction which depends on this condition after the then part in the same line, or in simple words, if I will going to write down the if condition in one line, I do not need to write down and if. But if the dependent condition is written below or to the next line after this then part, then I have to end if as well. Okay, so this is how it's been done. So these two things are being taken care of. The last one is it's the average final speed for all cars. Whenever they will going to ask us the average, it's mean we need to do the totaling as well. So this thing is done, this thing is done, this thing is done. These two weren't required. Okay, so by just referring to the format we're solving the question. And totaling, total assigned to total plus they're asking us the average of the speed, right? So speed. After this we don't need to do anything, so the next part goes there. Because we're looking into the format, only then we will be able to tell that. Okay, so the next thing after next we need to calculate the percentage. They haven't asked us the percentage here, so it's not required. Average, yes, they have asked us about the average. The formula of the average is average total divided by n. Here n is 500, we already know it. And after that, output. Because we need to output slowest, fastest, and average. So lowest, output lowest, output fast, the variable that we use is fast. All the extreme value variables will be output. Okay, just keep this thing in your mind. And average, these the three things will be output. Have we done with the program? No, we haven't done with the program because we haven't initialized. So last, let's initialize. All the extreme values variables must be initialized. So lowest will be initialized with the bigger value. In extreme values, you have to initialize the lowest versus smallest with the big positive value, and the bigger one for the upper bound value. For example, fast, we have chosen the variable fast here. It must be initialized with either 0 or some minus big value. And last is total. So total, every time if you have to use total, you have to initialize it with 0. No need to initialize average, no need to initialize speed, even though these are the variables as well. But the extreme values variables, the counting variables, which we couldn't use because that wasn't required in the paper, in the this question, and the totaling variables, they must be initialized. The extreme values variables, the counting variables, the totaling variables, they must be initialized to get the full marks. So this is the question that is solved using for next loop according to the format 1. Now the next task is to solve the similar question, similar kind of question using other looping structures, because while and while, repeat until, even though those are the conditional loops, but they can be, and they do used in your if you just look into the past papers, you're going to look even for the fixed iterations, they are using repeat until and while and while. So you should know how to use while and while, repeat until for even fixed number of iteration when you know how many times you need to input. Okay, so let's try to discuss the same thing here quickly. Instead of for next, if I have to solve the same question using some other looping structure, if you go and you have a look here in the same notes that we have provided you with, you will find out that there are more practicing questions definitely. Okay, and after that, format 2, it's if you want to use while and while for fixed number of inputs. So you can by default see that in initialization we have to do this one extra thing, and just before and while we have to do this extra thing. So for example, if I'm solving this question here and I want to change it using format 2, format 2 is nothing, it's like the rest of the things will be in its place, only this will be changed, this will be changed, rest of the things will be on its place. And we have to include 2 more instructions when we are converting from for next to while and while. So for example, for next की जगह पर क्या आ जाएगा, while हमने यहाँ पे counter लिखा तो हम counter ही लिख देता है, counter less than is equal to 500. So this will come instead of this. अगर मैं इस question को solve कर रहा हूँ using while and while, for next नहीं, while and while के साथ, तो for next की जगह पे ये लिखा हुआ आ जाएगा, नेक्स्ट की जगह के ऊपर लिखा आ जाएगा एंड वाइल. बेटा कंडीशन हमेशा ऐसी रहेगी, वाइल काउंटर लेस देन इज इक्वल टू, वाइल काउंट लेस देन इज इक्वल टू, वाइल सी लेस देन इज इक्वल टू, यहाँ पे आपकी वैल्यू नंबर n यहाँ पर आ जाएगा. एंड वाइल जस्ट बिफोर, बिकॉज फॉर को तो पता था ना कि काउंटर 1 से स्टार्ट हो रहा है, अब वाइल को नहीं पता, तो हमें इसको बताना पड़ेगा. इनिशियलाइजेशन में बाकी सारी चीजें तो यहाँ पर आएंगी, इसके अलावा हमें काउंटर को इनिशियलाइज 1 करना पड़ेगा, 1 to 500 एंड जस्ट बिफोर एंड वाइल नेक्स्ट, क्योंकि ये जो फॉर नेक्स्ट है ना ये बना ही फिक्स आइटरेशंस के लिए, तो नेक्स्ट ऑटोमेटिकली काउंटर के अंदर +1 करता रहता है और जैसे ही काउंटर 500 से ज्यादा होता है वो नेक्स्ट से बाहर आ जाता है। But in and while it's not designed that way, we have to do this. We have to counter is equal to counter +1. So this is how it will be done using while and repeat until. And अगर हम चाहते हैं कि while and while repeat until की जगह पे repeat until use करें तो it will be done this way. Repeat because it's a post condition loop, तो condition last में लगेगी और नेक्स्ट जगह पर आ जाएगा until counter greater than is equal to 500. हमेशा repeat until के अंदर कंडीशन ऑपोजिट हो जाएगी, उसमें थी less than is equal to 500, इसमें हो जाएगी greater than is equal to 500. जब तक काउंटर 500 नहीं हो जाता तब तक ये +1 होता रहेगा और प्रोग्राम आपका चलता रहेगा। और रिपीट अंटिल के अंदर आप यहाँ पे जो काउंटर है वो 0 से स्टार्ट करोगे। व्हाट इज द रीजन? बिकॉज बिफोर चेकिंग द कंडीशन काउंटर बिकम्स 1. So that's the reason. So for fixed number of iterations, now you should know that how to write down the solution for these questions for using for next, while and repeat until. For your homework, I suggest you to solve these questions. Try to solve as many as you can. For example, there is another question. A school is doing a check on the heights and weights of all the students. The school has 1,000 students. Input height and weight of 1,000 students, output the average. Here's question number 2 there, and it has 2 parts. All right, just solve as many questions as using the same format 1 using for next loop, and the format 2 is given, which is again for the fixed number of iterations. जब हमें पता है input कितने दफा होगा, लेकिन while and while के साथ करना है। while and while के साथ कुछ क्वेश्चन करेंगे। फिर format 3 कुछ भी नहीं है, format 3 भी सब कुछ वैसे का वैसा होगा, बस आपको for next की जगह while and while की जगह आपको repeat until यूज करना है। बाकी काउंटिंग, आउटपुट, रेडियस, एक्सट्रीम वैल्यूज, टोटलिंग सारी चीजें अपनी जगह पे मौजूद होंगी। Then you have these questions. Question number 3, question number 4 for the practice, question number 5, etc. etc. Try to solve these questions as much as you can, okay? And just before these condition based format 2. Format 2 हमने इसको दोबारा इसलिए बोला है क्योंकि यहाँ पे while and while यूज हो रहा है, और फॉर्मेट 3 कंडीशनल बेस यहाँ पर रिपीट अंटिल यूज हो रहा है, लेकिन अब इस दफा ये कंडीशन के लिए यूज हो रहा है। तो just solve the question till page number 15. Study these formats, listen to this recorded lecture, ask me queries. I'm winding up this class for now. We're going to continue from tomorrow with the conditional statements. But what I will going to do, you will be solving these questions today. Right now we just have an ample amount of time, and I'm still staying online till 12:30 right now, and I'm going to just take out your queries over the WhatsApp, and by any means. Till then, see you. Adios.